Hi my friends, welcome to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about the heavy energy here that's present. We're not going to be talking about the specific things that are moving through the world because you already know, and we're dealing with this sort of thing quite frequently. So this update today is really just going to be what our spirit guides, what the divine wants us to know about what this is offering us from a spiritual perspective, how to look at this from a spiritual lens. Now, I actually already filmed like a 30-minute video about this, but honestly, like this is really challenging to talk about, and it's not something that Allie, wanted to do, but Spirit led me to create a video about this, and so I'm here. I'm going to do my best. This isn't something that's easy to discuss. This isn't something that's easy to try to give a spiritual message on because people are highly emotional, hypersensitive, and with heightened emotions, I'm going to do my best to remove my ego completely and just channel to you, which I always do, but in times like this it's like a little bit more protective about what I'm saying. So just go ahead and close your eyes for a moment. I have some incense burning over here already. Closing your eyes, taking a big deep breath in. Releasing whatever you need to release. I can't hear you. Letting out a scream if you need to, stomping your feet, shaking. Whatever it is that you need to release from your body that you're tired of holding on to. Empty yourself. Bring your attention to your heart. Receive a breath. Just witness and observe your heart space, what you're experiencing there. Please set an intention for what you would like to receive guidance on, what you would like confirmation on, what you would like to hear during this video, something that will support you. And then please send love out to someone in the universe. When you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes. So my prayer is just that we receive wisdom and guidance that will help hold our hearts and also support us in our ascension process, support us in our spiritual development and our growth as humans. I just can't keep shaking the feeling personally that this is, again, I'm not talking about the specific things that are happening. I'm talking about the overarching themes of what we're experiencing really just the last several years, because we're moving through a very powerful time in history that's melting our egos, that's dissolving our sense of safety and security. That's frightening, that's jarring, that's a lot to move through. And so we keep having these things that are occurring, whatever it is. There's multiple things that are occurring all the time that hurt our hearts, that induce fear, that induce deep feeling. And I don't think that that's actually a coincidence. I'm not saying that this happened or certain things happen for these reasonings, but I am saying that we can always take the approach of, how do I grow from certain things that have already happened anyways? How do I grow from this? For me personally, if you're watching this, I feel like you probably agree with this. Anything that happens in my life, I'm going to use as a growth opportunity. I might cry for 3 weeks about it first before I can get to that space, but I'm gonna use every single thing that happens in my life as a growing opportunity, as an opportunity for me to become even doper, as an opportunity for me to become more powerful, more strong, more myself, more authentic. And so naturally for me, this is just what I look at. Not making it about me, but it's like, okay, this has happened. What is the lesson here for humanity? Not just for me, but for humanity. So that's kind of what we're going to be looking at here today. So I've already pulled a few different cards. You know, we started out with the current energy of the Hanged Man. Most of us are like, cool, what do I do from here? What can I do? Also with the Two of Swords. The Two of Swords is like, you could think about this in many different ways. I feel like, on one hand, it's like, do I talk about this? This seems so silly, but it's like, do I talk about this on my social media or do I not? Do I share stuff or do I not? Do I go take action or do I sit and cry for 500 hours? What do I do? Right? That's very much the current energy. And what I would like for you to sit in is, what if there was nothing for you to do? Some of you are going to be like, action is the only way to change anything. Right. But acting from a space of reaction or from a space of desperateness doesn't typically result in good results, right? And again, this is like taking a spiritual look at things. This isn't about the action that you're going to take to change policies or to change rules or systems. This is not my work. My work is a spiritual lens of things. So here's what we're going to look at today. I have this really cool deck that shares the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita in like little digestible. So it's actually, all of this is in Sanskrit and then English down here. So anyways, this is what the deck is called. If you want to get it, it's called the Gita deck. Has really beautiful imagery. But anyways, the first card I pulled today was a sacrificial offerings card. And whenever I'm doing temple work or work with priestesses, we ask ourselves, what is it that we're laying down at the temple? What is it that, before you enter the temple, before you enter any sort of sacred space, what is it that I'm laying down? This could be in your own meditative practice. All right, I'm removing the thoughts about what I have to do later today. When you go into yoga, okay, I'm removing the thoughts about what I'm going to make for dinner. My intention is I'm going to be centered and present. What is it that you are removing? What is it that you are putting up, you are offering to the goddess for her to burn up? And so in this case, what I want you to really sit with, sacrificial offerings, what is it that you are coming to the divine with? And honestly, here's what I'm hearing. I give up the idea that I know anything. I give up the idea that I know anything. Humans especially, I feel like, I don't know humans on other planets, but it's like earthlings sometimes, I feel that our egos are just so large. For so long, it's like we thought that people made it sound normal that we thought that we were the only form of life in the universe. How ridiculous is that? I remember growing up and it's like aliens aren't real. It's like, of course aliens are real. We're not the only form of life on this planet, on this universe. That would literally, the chances of that are so small. And so it's like, sometimes we have viewpoints about that, about everything like that. We think that we know best. And how can you I don't want to say how can you make yourself small, but it's like, how can you come to terms with the idea that you are everything and you are nothing? You are everything and you are nothing. How can you set down the concept that, first, also, here's actually what's coming in. How can you set down the concept that I need to have an answer for this? I need to know how to fix this. How can you set that down? Now, the other thing that's interesting that's tied to this friend or foe card, whenever we experience tragedies or big things that affect the whole world or affect the whole United States, which is where I'm located, as you could probably imagine from my accent. Anyways, whenever we face big things like this that affect the whole world, you see something happen almost immediately, that there's this fighting energy. There's this, we move into sides, right? And it's like, whatever side you're on, you think that you're right. Then we've got this seeing God card. What if all sides were right? What if every single perspective was right? How can you lay down the idea that your perspective is right? Where is it that you have moved into judgment? I even noticed myself with how certain people were showing up with this, immediately. I have my own little thoughts in my head and it's like, shut up. How is this helpful? Why is my commentary about how someone else is showing up, how does that have any relevance to anything? I don't know how people should be showing up. I don't know how I should be showing up. So why do I think that my own judgment has any place? So noticing just for yourself where you're starting to make judgments about what's right, what's wrong, who's right, who's wrong. So this concept is coming in, and I don't want you to make it mean anything particularly, but it's like all of us are playing a specific role. And right before I started filming this, I started thinking about Princess Diana. And I can't remember where I learned this or where I heard this, but years ago I heard someone say that one of Princess Diana's sort of soul missions was to open the hearts of the people of England. You know, the stereotype is that people of England are kind of like stuck up and have like sticks up their butt and they're uptight. But what that ultimately means on a deeper level is that their hearts aren't really open. And I'm not, whatever. So what I heard from this person speaking is she was like, you know, when Princess Diana died, that was the first time, it was just 11:11 on the time. That was the first time that the people of England openly wept, openly experienced this deep sadness for something of like pop culture, right? That they were openly experiencing this sort of energy because she was so loved. And you think about the role that she played in the royal family and how sort of hated she was in the royal family itself, and the impact that she had on that society and that culture throughout the world too, but especially in England. And that, you know, sometimes these big things play out on the broad scheme because there's learning for the entire world. Just another example right now, looking at, this is like so silly comparison to Princess Diana, but like the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard case. I didn't even know who Amber Heard was a month ago, but it was just 12-12 balancing. These celebrity things sometimes that happen, or things that happen on a huge scale. You could also think about like Caitlyn Jenner, things like this that are happening on a large scale that are changing the world. So back to the Johnny Depp thing, it's like this is showcasing how toxic feminine acts in some situations, and other people might see a different perspective of it, and that's totally fine. So it's what I'm trying to say is that things that are happening on a grand scale are often representative of, number one, something for us to look at within ourselves, an opportunity for healing ourselves, but also of something deep is shifting within the psyche of the earth. Something deep is shifting within the psyche of humanity, and an opportunity for us all to grow from it, especially if it's something that causes deep heartache or deep shaking of the world, right? With everything that's happened with COVID and the pandemic and all of the things that have happened since then, there's this deep shaking of our security. But guess what? On a spiritual level, we're not supposed to be in quotes, attached to all the stuff. Like, we're supposed to be, how can we feel secure just in ourselves? Why are we feeling secure? Oh, I have the house, I have the car, I have the life insurance policy, I have all these things, I have the safe room, I have these guns, so I'm safe. Okay, now I feel safe. But what happens when that shit's removed from you? You know, when we cling to security, oh, I feel safe because I have a husband. Well, what happens when they die? Knock on wood. How can we cultivate that within ourselves? That's such a huge lesson from these sorts of things that are happening, where it creates so much suffering in us because we are putting all these things external of us to provide our own power. We are, I said that sort of backwards, but you know what I mean. We're finding power and safety and security in things that are outside of us. That is not sustainable long term, but the sort of society and culture that we live in, that's the norm. The culture that we live in is sick. We all know that. And so naturally it's going to be shaken up so that we can bring it back to health. Just like if you get sick, your body is like, dude, you could even think about it like this. You start gaining a lot of weight. Your body's like, dude, I feel like shit. You're feeding me hamburgers. You're feeding me the shit that you know you're allergic to. You need to bring like life back in. You need to bring health back in. You need to shift things and change things because what you're doing is not working. And so the American way is sort of like, let's just put it under the rug and pretend that nothing happened. Pretend that everything's just fine and we're just going to keep going forward. So it's interesting that Princess Diana came in because it's like our hearts, I think, are more open in America, but I'm going to stop there and keep reading because I could just keep going on and on. So I pulled from 2 different decks for tarot. Got the the Hierophant twice. Excuse the reflection of my light here. The Hierophant is all about, to me, the Hierophant, whenever I see it, it represents a spiritual teacher. But it also can represent traditions, religion also. And it's like, there are massive structures falling right now. You guys know this already if you're watching this. But again, where can you release what you think you know and tune to a much higher energy to receive what to do, to receive your information? Trusting that spirit will tell us how we can create something new, because it's like if you try to solve a solution from a broken state of mind, or what I was saying before about from a reactive state, if we're trying to solve something from a really reactive state, it's like when you're mad and you send a text and you're like, fuck, shouldn't have sent that, right? I should have waited till I was calm. You're probably not going to react from the best state of mind. And also, often you need higher solutions. You need higher solutions. And so where can you tune into a higher consciousness? Where can you tune into a higher consciousness? And there's not very many examples of, well, I take it back. It's like, where can you tune into like Jesus energy? Where can you tune into Buddha energy? Because we're all humans on the planet. So like I'm a high priestess, which a high priestess is basically a representative of the goddess on earth. So part of my mission is helping to attune people to the divine feminine energy, and also healing myself as I do that. Because if we're human, that means that we still, we're whole and complete. We don't have these things to fix. That's a big misunderstanding in the spiritual community. However, how can we totally release ourselves into a higher consciousness? They like rerouted me a little bit with what I was saying. How can we attune ourselves to a much higher consciousness? Because we're humans. If we were completely, and it's interesting to try to say this because it's like, we wouldn't be here if we weren't still holding density, if we weren't still growing. I'll put it that way. If we weren't still growing. So where can we tune into something higher that can offer us a solution that is not of the human mind? And it's sort of, I'm just having this feeling of like, here's just what I'm seeing. It's like our brains are poisoned. How can you trust a solution that comes from a poisoned brain? This is what I mean too with like, someone with a really big ego wouldn't be able to say something like that, right? Like, they're like, no, I'm healed. I'm great. I'm doing like, it's like, we live in a toxic society. We've grown up with all of these sorts of, like, we are so far from the organic way of life. And it's been that way for thousands of years. So we can't trust sometimes what comes from our own top. Like, it's not that we can't trust it. It's just that our own solutions coming from a skewed perspective are only going to get us so far. It's like if you're looking at the world with broken glasses, you're not going to see it in the same way. The divine is seeing the world from the cleanest glasses. All our lenses are all fucked up. Where do you want me to go next here? All right. This is offering each of us a powerful opportunity to release control. I feel like a lot of people probably aren't going to like that because a lot of people are like, no, we have to fix this. It's like, well, did it work any of the other times? Did you posting that one particular thing? And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be doing this. It's just like, why don't we try something different? Why don't we attune to the God and see what God says about it? What is available for us to be looking at a deeper level right now that we might not be seeing? Please show us. What's available for us to see this in a new light? Please fall on a table so I know that. What's available for us to see that we're not quite seeing yet? There's just like clumps of cards. Can you give me one other card and have it fall on the deck? Well, okay. All right, so we've got 4 cards here. Oh, I don't know that you guys are gonna like this. The first card was the unseen when I was talking about there's parts that we're not seeing. Let me see what these other cards are. You can't make this shit up, you guys. Most of these cards are upside down. The one I said aren't gonna like is Experiments is upside down. There's a lot of like, I'm just gonna show you this. I'm not gonna talk about it because that's not what the focus of this video is. Look at these dark shadows over this same girl. It feels like what I was talking about when I was saying that, we're operating from toxic programming. It's like a fish in a tank of poison isn't going to be operating like I don't know if fish even have brains, but like they're not going to be operating at their highest, right? We're poisoned. We're poisoned. We're also whole and complete and perfect, but we're also poisoned. But what I was saying, you can't make it up. Letting go, allowing a higher force to take charge for a time. What happens if you give up? What happens if you give up? Not that you say, I don't care about this. Not that you say it's not important. It's all fake anyways. There was just a huge fish that jumped out of the water. That's really funny. So I was just talking about the toxic fish. He's like, I'm in a toxic pool, help me. Anyways, it's not that you're avoiding it. It's not, I really don't like the term spiritual bypassing because I think it's a term like toxic or narcissist that people don't know what it means, but they throw it around and it's lost its meaning. So it's not that you're avoiding it. It's that you're saying, you know what? I don't know what to do. I'm not going to pretend that I'm the one who has the answers. And it's not leaving someone else to do the work either. It's saying for a moment, I'm going to completely surrender, drop my own thoughts about what I think is right and what I think and I, and tune into the consciousness of the collective, tune into the consciousness of the divine, and come from that space. And with this card, I've never seen this before here, but we've got the fish in this card again, endurance, keep going. And it's like we're being led, we're being guided. We're being guided as far as what to look at within ourselves, even though sometimes we don't like, especially in this case, the ways that we're being guided. But, in the other video that I told you I was like trying to do, but I just didn't like how things were coming out of my mouth. Knew that I would get a lot of shit for it, so I just started over. And what was coming through a lot was like, oh, I literally just lost it. Let me see here. I totally lost it. I guess I'm not even supposed to bring it up on here because it was there and now it's not. All right, so let's look here. Get a few more messages. It's also like taking the pressure off yourself of needing to have an answer or judging people who feel that they do have answers. The judgment piece is definitely there. This is a big part of, this is a big part of the ego deaths that many are experiencing right now. We're in a portal of identity shifts. We're in a portal of complete reconstruction of how we see ourselves. And some people are really resisting this. That's also leading to a lot of the stickiness that's in the air right now, that's in the collective energy field, because the vast majority of people are not doing, they're still, it's like their heels are down and they're like, nope, I'm not going to look. I'm not going to look. There's nothing to look at. What are you talking about? My boots are clean. Meanwhile, there's dirt all through the house. My boots are clean. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not going to take them off. Because the deep work that includes art, that includes ego deaths, that includes incredible shadow work is extraordinarily vulnerable. It requires that you look at yourself in a way that you might not want to look at yourself. You might not want to see yourself. It requires incredible vulnerability. So here's something to sit with. Spirit, help me say this in a powerful way, in a loving way. I want you to put yourself in the role of, in any tragedy, of all characters in the story. Put yourself in the role of all of them, because you are all of them. You can't be like, oh, I'm all of them except this one. Oh, I'm all of them. I'm just the good characters only. You're all of the characters. Each of us are all of the characters. And the thing with shadow work is loving all parts of yourself, even the wounded, like demented parts of yourself. It's loving all of it. You can't pick and choose. And until you can love all parts of yourself, you're going to be operating not from a space of wholeness. And again, that's not to say that you have 45 million things to fix about yourself, but it's like, just love all of yourself. Take a minute to notice and look at the parts that are playing roles that you don't like. And how can you love yourself through that role? How can you identify certain things within yourself? And how can you look at it, see it in its wholeness and in its entirety, and choose love from that space and transform it? And it's not that it's going to completely go away, but instead of trying to pretend it's not there, which is a massive problem, that could be the root of this tree. Did I talk about it in this one? I don't think so. It's talking about the root of the problems that we're experiencing, or all of the problems we're experiencing, particularly in the United States. This is a result of the energy that the country was founded on, the energy that's been permeating this field for a long time. This isn't the result of one particular law or the result of one particular thing. This is a rooted problem that's been growing for hundreds of years. And, it evolves over time, but it's the root. Then you've got the tree trunk, and then you've got all these branches, right? What just happened is one of the branches. There's all these other symptoms. So yeah, you can fix the sick branches that, you can fix the sick little succulents that are on each branch, but is that going to fix the root? No. So some people need to address, it's like when you have a plant, you have to take the sick leaves off, or otherwise energy is going to go there and it's going to hurt the rest of the plant. So yeah, you got to take those sick leaves off. Someone can do that job, but all of us have responsibility with the root of the problem. What is your role in fixing that in yourself? It's easy to be like, oh, you know what? Other people who are like better with government stuff, who are better with XYZ, they can handle this. How are you handling it in your own life? How are you addressing problems when they come up for you in your own life? How are you addressing when you see parts of yourself that you don't like? Do you pretend it's not there? Do you even see yourself? Do you even see yourself in your wholeness and your fullness? Or are you still a robot living a life that you can't even see any depth in? Where you're not really feeling, you're actually not really living. That's how most of us are living. Okay, what else do you want to show me in this deck for me to speak on? we're a society that has been breeded in logic and in our what we can prove in evidence in the mind, and we're starting to remember, and we're being pushed in a direction where we will be forced to remember the truth, forced to remember who we are and what we are. And, you know, just take a look at this card. It's called Beyond the Mind, but notice all of the crown activations. The crown chakra, the unlimited self. It's like if you keep people in a cage and then are shocked that they act out, are shocked that they're shaking the cage walls, that they're sick inside of the cage. There's a snake in the water right now out here. Anyways, the last card we got, number 33, Journey to Wholeness. The roots. Look at her hair. They're just like roots. And then the plant is literally growing out of the crown chakra here. So where are you caged? Where can you step outside of your own cage and allow yourself freedom? Allow yourself... This doesn't really feel like it's connected to what's going on, but it is. Because the problem is that we've been caged for thousands of years. Told that we are... It's like, again, with the fish reference, it's like a fish in a bowl. Like, this is what life is. This is what life is. You just see this clear bowl. You don't have any, you know, aquarium decorations. Or maybe you do. This is what life is. And the fish has no concept of the ocean, but it has this innate knowing of like, I feel like there's more. I feel like. And that primalness inside is just like, rah! The primalness inside is like, I will not tolerate this anymore. Even though on a conscious level, we're like, what is going on? What is the problem? I have everything. I have the whole aquarium set up. But you're not able to be your primal self, which is a part of our innate beingness. That fish in the fish tank doesn't get to experience the fear of a shark coming by, doesn't get to experience things that are a part of life. It also doesn't get to experience swimming with the current with its friends and, you know, all these other sorts of things. It's like a false experience of life, and it will eventually lead people to psychosis. There's so many other things I could talk about here, but that's just kind of what's coming through with this specific energy. Yeah, also just, there's a lot of crown chakra energy here with these specific cards I'm pulling. And right now, like I said, we're in this portal where we're moving through massive crown chakra activations. We're moving through identity shifts where it's like whole like costumes are falling off, whole masks are falling off. I'm experiencing that. So many people I know around me are experiencing that. We've been doing this work for years. I've already taken off so many masks, and it's like, oh, here's a whole bodysuit that I didn't even realize was there. And what I've experienced, just my personal experience, is that you don't even know that some of these things are masks. You think it's 33. You think that these things are just the way that things are. You think it's like, you would never even think that it's a mask that you're wearing, and it's like your way of seeing life itself. And so this card just reminded me of that, this stepping through card with the Merkaba in the middle of her heart. It's like we're moving through these dimensions where we're seeing like, oh my God, I've been in a fishbowl this whole time. Or, oh my God, like, I actually see the room outside of the fishbowl. That's not actually life. It's like you're seeing things on a much deeper level, because most of you watching have already realized about this fishbowl thing, right? But it's like, oh, life isn't just a river. There's actually like oceans. There's actually oceans like in the universe. I don't know, but maybe. There's oceans on other planets. Like, oh, this understanding that there's so much more. I'm going to close with one other card. I feel like with this reading, there's a lot. I'm kind of intentionally leaving this a little bit more open, because I feel like it's first of all going to differ intensely for each person. based on just what you're experiencing and where your unconsciousness is, yeah, I'm just going to leave it there. So please just let me know what comes up for you with this. Please let me know what your takeaways are, or what it makes you think about, what it opens up for you. And I'd love to know your fishbowl experience, like how you're experiencing the fishbowl effect right now. Maybe that's like my next book, The Fishbowl Effect. No one can take that name. I trademark it immediately. All right. Can you please show me the spirit of the animal that wants to support us right now that we can all tune into? As a reminder or as an embodiment. Okay, well, we got 2 cards. Oh, 3. Okay. Oh. Okay, so as the reminder, this held in my hand as I said that, 31, the bee. Creativity, purpose, harvest, and devotion. Devotion always is like, how can you be in devotion to God? How can you be in devotion to the God within yourself? And, you know, bees are the perfect example of this. The bee is representative of the goddess. Bees are in devotion to the queen bee. They like give their lives for her. Everything is done for the queen bee of that particular nest, or whatever you call it, of that honeybee, that honeycomb. And so, what did I say this card was? The reminder. What is it that we're actually serving? What is it that we are serving? Is it love? Is it righteousness? Is it our egos? Is it proving that, what is it that you're in devotion to? That's a question I want you to sit with. What is it that you're really in devotion to? And your life will show this to you. The things that you pick fights about will show this to you. You could say like, freedom is my number one value, but you work 80 hours a week. That means that you're in devotion to the work, but probably, this is going to change for every person, you're in devotion to feeling safe outside of yourself, to creating safety outside of yourself. This is confronting, not saying that anyone's right or wrong. Just ask yourself, what are you in devotion to, and look at how you spend your time. Then I pulled, what are we embodying? What will the spirit of these animals support us with embodiment? The elephant, which, oh my God, I just got so dizzy. Hold please. I literally feel like an angel just hit me with a log over my head right when I said this elephant, and I was about to say leadership. I did pull a leadership card from that Bhagavad Gita deck as well. So honor, empathy, responsibility, and cooperation. What is the world that we want for the little ones? What is the world we want for the next generations? What was the beat up about? Please tell me so that I can incorporate that, because I know that they want me to say something else here. Well, the next card we got, this reminds me of this little blue jay. So I'm going to say this is this blue jay spontaneity, vibrancy, support, and the muse. But what I'm going to say this is the messenger of spirit. How can you tune into spirit at this time? 3838, aka 1111. It would have been way cooler if this number was 11, but it's not. It's a 7, which is also God's number. Anyways, where can you ask for support from a higher realm? Birds are messengers, right? Birds are sharing messages, and in a shamanic tradition, birds are carrying messages from the higher realms, from the heavens to us. So how can you listen to those messages? I want to get one other card. I'm going to pull from here about this elephant, because there was something, I've never gotten dizzy like that when I'm just sitting down. That's interesting. So we've got Temperance, which is the patience card. Elephants are also really gentle, right? They can also be very fierce when they're like charging, but in general, they're pretty gentle. And the Temperance card is all about patience. It's like, look at within yourself again. where you're tuning into this energy of something has to happen right now, which is natural that we would say things have to change, right? That's natural. But where are you tuning into this energy of acting from reaction versus an elephant? Think about how high up they are. Here's what it is. Think about how high up they are. They're so big. They can see so much further into the horizon than like even this little baby one can see, right? They can see so far into the horizon. What are they able to see from that perspective that you're not able to see from human height? And I pulled another card in the other reading that was talking about, I guess it was just the Sun card. It was a card similar to the Sun card, which is really just, I keep getting so dizzy, you guys. It's not that, oh, better things are on the horizon when these things are all happening so that we can move into this new age and everything will be heaven on earth. Like, yeah, that is. But also, how do we respond in these situations? Because also I think the reaction that you're having right now is probably similar to your reaction when things happen in your life that you maybe don't want to deal with or maybe aren't ideal for you to deal with in that moment. Here's an example. So it's like if you go into fight mode, maybe your work isn't surrendering. How could you try the opposite approach? Again, with a caveat of like, tune into spirit. Do this after you've sat with yourself and created a frequency of patience and a frequency of calm around this, which might take a little bit. But what is your typical reaction to things that aren't convenient for you? Noticing that within yourself and then remembering the root of the problems here. That's in your household also. It's in your neighbor's house. It's in your mom's house. It's at the park down the street. Because anything that we're dealing with here, it's like, with these particular tragedies, they're happening all over the United States in different sorts of communities. It's not just like, oh, it's only in this sort of a field, this sort of a vibration. It's only in this state that carries these sorts of beliefs. It's all over the place. So that tells us that it's actually something that's within each of our households. And how can we approach it at home too? Not just through legal policies, not just through changing things in other ways, but internally. So anyways, I'm going to close it there. These two cards are just looking at me. It's like these two cards right together. The unseen, tuning into the divine to find answers for what you don't know. The things that you don't know how to conquer or how to overcome or how to be with. Tune into the divine. I'm hesitant to say this, but it's like, don't trust your ego self. Look at the self underneath that, your soul. I hope this supports you. Please let me know in the comments how this landed for you, how it resonated, what came up for you. And yeah, I'm just sending you so much love. Bye.